correctly. So, okay, so PCs, we will, starting from Patrick, we can also sit on this side here, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. Patrick's with the blue shirt sitting in the middle. All PCs on this side here, guests in the back. All PCs on this side here.
Live stream and say okay. Live stream and say okay. Watch your on right. Are we full on the PC side?
It looks pretty full.
Okay. Can you reiterate the message that only PCs over there?
Okay, so once again, precinct committeemen on this side and the first 5 rows of this side, and then guests in the back 5 rows of this side here. That's just how we can keep better track if we have votes coming up. It seems like we're getting pretty tight on this side, so let's fill up the first 5 rows with PCs on this side here. Almost following instructions.
Tell them that the white zone is for loading and unloading only. Do it in the Canadian voice that you have.
If you're a precinct committee, you should be wearing a name tag just to make it easier to point you out. Okay. Well, at this point, if we could get the sign-in sheets up to the front. So every newly elected precinct committeeman is entitled to a fancy new certificate that makes you official, presented by the Deputy Ada County Clerk, who is running for the real clerk this November, Phil McGrain. So we are going to call you up one by one, starting at 14:01. So you'll come up, get your certificate, and then take your seat again. Okay. Well, you could.
Is that a test?
Since I don't have the sign-in sheet, we will go by precinct number. So we will start at 14:01. Please come up and get your certificate. We're going to go 14:01 down to 22:14. So 14:01, which is Tammy Sullivan Watson. All right. No, it's Tammy Sullivan Watson, 14:01. There she is. All right, 14:02, 14:03, 14:04. I'm trying to do it by memory. All right, how about we have everyone from District 14 start to make their way out? All right.
15 on deck, 16 in the hole.
Tom, you're here.
Dory's Jernigan?
Jernigan should be here. They were pulling the U.
Okay. Tracy Golish. Jim Reynolds. I'll take this. Great. John Zarian. Kerry Campbell. Kay Bannister. Jeff Miller. Andrew Shank. David Zecker. Steve Wood. Victor Miller. James McCubbin. Bob Neugebauer. Tea Party Bob. Dustin Emmett. Dustin. Laura Gassaway. Carol Dobrolowski. All right, and then Natalie, 1403. All right, let's get the District 15 people kind of making their way up here. So we're going to start with 1501, Russell Spencer. 1502, John Cannon. 1503, Sally Maloney. 1504, Barbara Lewis. 1505, Lori Rouse. 15. Lori Rouse. 1506, Bob Casper. 1507, Fred Martin. 1508, Patty Dowdy. 1509, Chelsea Goddard. 1510, Joseph Crowell. 1511, Ellen Besham. 1512, Carissa Cantwell. 1513, oh, there's Carissa. John Morgan, 1514. Hey, Carissa. 1515, Terry Luther. 1514, 1515, Betty Garrett. 1516, Kathy Reeves. Cindy Reeves. All right, District 16, come on up. We're starting with 1602, Brian McDonald. 1603, Joel Robinson, not here tonight. 1604, Linda Gardner. 1605, Dave Shirtliff. 1606, Vicki Birkenbein. 1607, Lori Langdon. 1608, thank you. 1609, Pat Phelps. Thank you, Pat. 1610, Jim Silver. 1611, Graham Patterson. 1612, Blake Hopkins. 1613, Kevin Warnock. 1614, Lee Jo Lay. 1615, Anita Latham. All right, District 17, come on up. 1701, Dawn Hatch. 1703, Melissa Miller Harris. There, hi Melissa. 1704, Kate Beck. Okay. 1705, Wendy Ripley. 1706, Jim Tibbs. 1707, Phil Turner. 1708, Matthew Jensen. 1709, Daryl Axon.
Daryl here.
1710, Creed Kleinkoff.
Go Utes.
1711, Edward Dinsinger. 1712, David Dehoff. 1713, Chris Hoff. 1714, Michael Anderson. 1715, Anthony Pugh.
Is Anthony here?
All right, District 18, come on up. Next on the Price is Right. 1801, Steve Christensen. Thank you. 1802, Teresa Powell. 1803, Jessica Hawkins. 1805, Tom Jensen. It's 1806, Lori Litzner Frost. 1807, Frida Senarusa. 1808, Carol Schilling. 1810, Kelly Johnson. 1812, Vern Nelson. 1813, Bill Young. 1814, Megan Landon.
Nice.
1815, Megan Mitchell. 1816, Charles Eddy. 1817,
Dolphin
Ray
guy.
Young. All right, District 19. Start with Precinct 1901, Jackie Fox. 1902, Cheryl Scott. 1903, Larry Chappell. 1904, Woody Kale. 1905, Gary Parent. 1906, Megan Engel. Come on down.
Yay.
1907, Rob McQuaid. 1908, John Marsh.
I showed you.
1909, Rob McQuaid Jr.
No, it's like 22 something. He was like literally the last
1911,
one.
Bill Campbell.
Yeah.
1912, Jeremy Morgan. 1913, Dave High. 1915, Brock Frazier.
Boo! No Windows Phone! No Windows Phone!
1917, John Dyer. 1918, Dave Litchfield.
Yay!
1919, John Magnan. All right, District 20, come on up. Going to start with 2001, Elson McClintock. 2002, Dave Jorgensen. 2003, Patrick Malloy.
Nice.
2004, Abby Dickamore. 2005, Boyd Hill. 2006, Mark Johnson.
Woo!
2007, Jerry Rayner. 2008, Lori Marie Crowe. 2009, Steve Meredith.
Might have been
2010,
quiet.
Billy Norp. 2011, Aaron Kiowa. 2012, Bradley Wiersma. Thank you, Brad. 2013, Jennifer O'Keefe. 2014, Roger Tweed. 2015, Tyler Ricks. All right, District 21, we're going to start with Bill Schuler in 2101.
Nice.
Michelle Jarvis, 2102. Bonnie Carter, 2103. Wendy Dahl. Dahl or Dahl? Dahl. 2104. Megan Kiska, 2105. Greg Wilson, 2106. David Siegmiller, 2107. Damon Garrett, 2108. Vicky McIntyre, 2109. Bruce Scott, 2110. Tom Daly, 2111. Ray Gempler, 2112. There he is. Thanks, Ray. Ray First, 2113. Chris Fierro, 2114. Julia Ray Morgan, 2116.
Nice.
15. Audrey Musgrave, 2116. And the last one, 2117. Chris Rowe. All right, District 22, we're going to start with 2201. That's Jeff Kellers. Taylors, thanks, Jeff. 2202, Steve Hunkmeyer. Steve? No. 2203, Andrew Roy. 2204, Dawn Salisbury. That's on. 2205, Travis Clyde. 2206, Valerie James. 2207, John Vanderlaat.
Yay, John!
Yeah, shoes and socks.
2208, Hope Adams. Michael Law, 2209. Charles Porter, 2210. Good job, Charles. Dan Johnson, 2211.
Woo!
Perfect Dowell, 2212. Brian Merrill, 2213. Sorry. And last but not least, Mark Abercrombie, 2214.
Really?
Right. Did anyone come in, did any late PCs who did not get their certificate? Come on up if you haven't got your certificate. All right, give everybody a round of applause. All right, I'm going to officially call the meeting to order.
Nice.
Madam Secretary, you have a quorum.
Yes, sir, we have a
We have a quorum. All right, we have the agenda up on the screen there. We will start with an invocation, Mr. Steve Wood.
Just join me in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we come before you. Thank you that we live in a land where we can still vote, where we can work to see that good is done. Thank you for these people that serve you. Give us wisdom as we think and decide things. Help us to be a bright light in this world. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Bill Schuler, new District 21 Chair, would you care to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Everybody, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. All right, we now move to the approval of the meeting agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Steve Wood, 1415.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the meeting agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, we have our agenda. Approval of the minutes. We did not have a quorum at the last meeting, missed it by that much, so we don't have any minutes to report, but we did have a great candidate forum. How many people were there? And at least one gubernatorial candidate show up. It was really good. Treasurer's report. So this is where we get to hear about the finances and
Not really.
what consists of our finances, and we're going to talk a little bit about the fundraiser we had on election night.
Just to qualify, I'm not going to talk about what happened at the fundraiser because I don't have that information yet. So all I have for you right now is the money that's in the bank. I don't know what payables we have outstanding at the moment because I haven't seen the bills from the fundraiser. But currently in the bank, in the checking account, we have $12,428.64, and in the savings account, $1,114.04. For a grand total of probably our biggest number that I've had since I've been the treasurer, $13,542.68.
Thank you, Vicki. So, as you know, we did a fundraiser on election night. It was the first time that we have tried such an event, the primary election night banquet fundraiser. And I really want to thank the committee who helped make that possible, which includes Megan Landon, right there, Graham Patterson and Megan Kiska. Please give them a round of applause. That was one of those last-ditch minute attempts to try to put on an event. We had previously booked a room at the Riverside Hotel, and it didn't work, and we were looking at quite a cancellation penalty with the Riverside for not putting on an event. And so when I came in as chair, I kind of got this idea that, well, if everyone's going to be at the Riverside anyways, why don't we just sort of piggyback on that event and try our own little event on election night. And thanks to the committee working tirelessly, thanks to our salesmen selling tickets, and a lot of other volunteers, we managed to pull it off. Not only did we clear all of our bills with the Riverside and everyone else, but we've made several $1,000s, which we can now use for the November elections for our Republican candidates. So I think we hopefully got a new tradition. Now we can look at, okay, maybe in November let's see if we can repeat this, and maybe every 2 years during the election cycle, this might be the new Ada County event. It paid off, and so I'm pleased to report we have some money in the bank. That's great. All right, well, now we're going to move to the main business of the reorganization meeting. So this meeting, especially if you're new, happens every 2 years, immediately after the primary. And this is the meeting where we elect new leadership for the Ada County Republican Party. And also we elect delegates to the state convention. The state convention happens every 2 years. Any county in Idaho can make a pitch to host the convention. Unfortunately, Bannock won. So the convention is in Pocatello this year. And that may explain why we're not being flooded with applications to be delegates, because it's a bit of a ways away. But this is very important that we get a lot of delegates, because the fees that you pay to go to the convention help to host it. And considering that Ada County is generally not the best at paying the state party our dues, the more delegates we get, the more the state party is going to be able to actually pay for the convention. And if you've never gone, it's a lot of fun. We debate rules, resolutions, the platform. In the presidential year, we send delegates to the national convention. So it's actually a fun kind of road trip thing for, especially if you're a political nerd. But it's not all politics. There's meet and greets and banquets and socializing. So in your packet that contained the agenda, there is paperwork to apply to become a delegate. We're going to talk about the natural process when we get to the end of the agenda. But
Ask if anybody got it.
did anyone not get an agenda that was in the back corner with all the delegate paperwork in? Okay. Raise your hand and we have some extra copies. So tonight we're going to be electing the officers of the Ada County Central Committee, which are chairman, first, second, and third vice chairman, treasurer, secretary, the state committee man, the state committee woman, and the state youth committee person. The state committee people represent Ada County on the state central committee, as well as the county chairman. So we are going to now open the floor for nominations. We will so the rules are, you must be nominated and seconded by a precinct committeeman, and whoever nominates you will do a short nominating speech. Whoever seconds you will do a short seconding speech, and then the candidate will make a speech on their own behalf. Does anyone have any questions about the rules? All right. We will now move to the first position, the election of county chairman. I'm opening the floor to nominations for county chair. Does anyone have a nomination for county chair? And we would ask for parliamentary procedure. When you address the chair, please stand, state your name and precinct number for ease of the secretary.
Megan Landon, 1814. I nominate Ryan Davidson for the county chair.
Thank you, Megan. There's been a nomination. Is there a second?
Second, I'll second it, Steve Christensen, 1801.
Thank you, Steve. All right, there's been a nomination and a second. Why don't we ask if there are any more nominations for county chair? All right, well, at this point, I would move to, is there a nomination?
I'm going to nominate you.
I've already been nominated and seconded. Thank you. At this point, the chair would entertain a motion to close the
Motion to
nomination.
close nominations for chair.
Second. Steve Wood,
Need your name,
Oh,
please.
slowly, slowly.
Patrick Malloy, 2003.
Steve Wood, 14th.
We have a motion to close nominations. Any debate? Hearing none, all in favor of closing nominations?
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Nominations are closed. Megan, would you like to come up and give a speech?
You don't have to if it's unanimous.
Good evening. So again, my name is Megan Landon from District 18. Look like 18 is a strong supporter of Ryan here. And I believe, it's my belief that Ryan Davidson is perfectly positioned to move us forward as a party. Working on the committee for the fundraiser that we just completed successfully was really very eye-opening for me. I got to work very closely with Ryan, and I also got to really see some pretty in-depth things that I think will make our party better. Specifically, I think that Ryan understands how to build our numbers. He definitely knows how to get people in the seats. He knows how to build our finances for our coffers. And he also, I believe, can help revitalize our reputation. So how many of you are here tonight because Ryan Davidson has called you or texted you or emailed you or called you again or sent a robocall to your right? So we need that kind of a mover and a shaker in our party right now because we all know that since Ryan has gotten involved, we've had a quorum more often than not, and that is pretty rare, right? So I think he knows how to do that for us. I think he has a good track record for that. I also believe that he knows how to build our coffers. He knows how to put the right people around him and rely on the right people that know how to get people out and to get them coming and supporting us. And I think that he has a pretty good vision of that. As we just saw with this fundraiser, he miraculously managed to turn it around from something that was going to epically fail and cost us almost 10 grand. And we now have 13 grand in the bank. But by the way, that's after the hotel has taken out all their fees. Okay? So he knows how to, we need to pay our dues to the state, right? And we need to help get good Republicans elected locally. We need money to do that. Love him or hate him, Ryan is consistent. He is consistently pro-liberty, consistently pro-constitution, and a lot of the former Republicans that I have talked to are just totally disillusioned and disgusted with the Republican Party because they don't think it stands for what it should stand for anymore. And I think that we need to change that. We need to reach back out. We need to bring them back in and show them, no, we really are a place where you can come and your hopes and your dreams for our local government can be realized. I think Ryan is going to do that. And I ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
All right. Anyone want to do a seconding speech?
Yeah, well,
Well, Mark had his hand up in the back there.
Well, it's
Would you yield to Mark? Mark Johnson, come on up, please. I saw that.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Johnson. I'm from 2006. I'm a new PC, but I've been actually hanging around this body for about 4 or 5 years, coming and going, learning and observing. And what I've observed, and especially over these last few months when Ryan took over the chairmanship, I've observed a bigger audience, a bigger attendance, more excitement. And that's not to take away anything from any of the previous chairmen, but I think Ryan has brought something to this body, and I hope we can elect him to continue that. Ryan, I've worked with him quite a bit over the last few years too. What I found is I don't think there's a harder worker in this party in Ada County than Ryan Davidson. He just amazes me. In fact, I don't know that I could live up to expectations, but I'm going to try. I found him to be very articulate and very intelligent, and that's going to serve him well as a chairman. I think he's respected by all, and I think he works well for just everybody, works well with everybody in this county body. So I ask you to join me in voting for Brian Davidson for chairman.
Well, thank you, Mark, and I'm honored to accept the nomination, and I just wanted to say we've got a tough election ahead of us in November. The Democrats are going to be more energized than they ever have been with their surprise candidate for governor. This is going to be a national race. I think that every national Democratic organization is going to pour time, money, and resources in this. And so that's why the very first thing on my agenda after this meeting tomorrow is to call Brad Little and have a meeting with him and tell him that I'm throwing all my support and we want all of Ada County to unite behind our nominee for governor. Because we are facing a crisis in this state if Paulette Jordan brings in thousands and thousands of new Democratic voters. We need to bring our energy from Ada County to the governor's race and to all the down ticket races, which could suffer in the wake of a Democrat tidal wave. So that is my first priority, is to unite the party behind our nominee and to defeat the Democrats in November. And I hope you're all here to join me. So thank you very much. Now we'll call for the vote. All in favor of Ryan Davidson for county chair, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we will now move on to the election for first vice chairman. Do we have a nomination for first vice chairman?
Mr. Chairman, Steve Wood, 1415, I'd like to nominate Patrick Malloy for first vice chairman.
We have a nomination for Patrick Malloy. Do we have a second?
Bonnie Carter, 2103, I second.
We have a nomination and a second. Do we have any other nominations for the position of first vice chair? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to close nominations.
Bill Schiller, 2101.
Is there a second? There's been a motion and a second to close nominations. Any debate? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion passes. Nominations are closed. Mr. Wood, would you care to give your nominating speech for Patrick Malloy?
Mr. Chairman, point of order. May I make a motion before he speaks?
You may.
May we dispense with the speeches, given that there is no alternative candidate, and move to a voice vote? I would.
Well, you got a harsher buzz, Pat.
All right, well, you're the precinct committeeman. You can decide if you want to hear people talk or not. So we will. Did we have a motion, or was that a point of order?
That was a vote. Well, it was a point of order to make a motion. I made the motion.
Okay.
Second.
So we have a motion to dispense with speeches if the race is uncontested. Is that the motion?
Yes.
I second 1809 Gary Tyler.
Oh.
It's covered.
Any debate, Mr. Reorganization?
As I'm new here, I don't know a lot of faces, so though I appreciate the motion and the urgency of speeding up time, it would be nice to see a face to who we are nominating.
That's true.
I would be happy to just do my part of the speech if that would. Yes.
Do you wish to amend your motion?
That we dispense with the first and second nominating and move straight to the candidate speech
Thank you.
prior to the voice vote.
Two seconds.
Second is what I think still agrees.
This is one way. to
Be kind to the secretary.
All right, so we have a motion where if a race is uncontested, only the candidate will speak. I'm personally a fan of speeches, but is there any debate?
Mr. Chair, I rise in support of speeches.
All right, seeing no debate, motion to dispense with speeches if it is an uncontested race. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so Mr. Malloy, it's only you now.
I think that's a fair and wise decision. So my foray into politics began back in the Reagan era in 1980. I was still in high school, got involved, and in our household, you always had to read Time magazine and discuss both politics and religion. That was one of my dad's rules, the two things most avoided. So since coming to Idaho specifically, though, I have run for 2 different city council positions, and I've not won those elections. I ran for an open house seat, which I did not win. But in running those, I got the attention of my district senator in 20, which was Shirley McKay. And Shirley asked, when she took a leave of absence, that I would fulfill part of her term in the Senate. So I was able to serve in the Idaho Senate in 2013. In so doing, I was also the vice chair of the Judiciary and Rules Committee at that time. So I'm somewhat familiar with some of the procedures and things. And I also sat in the Health and Welfare Committee at that time. So I learned a great deal. This is my 3rd term as a precinct committeeman. I've done a lot of walking and knocking in my district and been supporting the good conservative candidates that we've had out there. And most recently, you may have got a little periodical in your mailbox that said the Idahoan that was somewhat an issue of whether it's journalism or not. And but I'm the individual behind that as well. We're putting that forth as an actual upfront conservative periodical dealing specifically with government, politics, and things going on here in the state. So those are the things I'm involved with, and I hope that if you think that I would be a good vice chair, that you will vote for me. Thank you.
All right, all in favor of electing Patrick Malloy to the position of first vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Congratulations, Patrick. All right, we're now going to open the floor to nominations for the position of second vice chairman. Do we have any nominations for the position of second vice chair? Any nominations for the position of second vice chair?
I'd like to nominate David Zecker.
All right, we have a nomination for David Zecker. Do we have a second?
I second. Tamara Sullivan Watson, 1411.
We have a second. All right, do we have any other nominations for the position of second vice chair?
Joe Crow, 1510, I nominate Dan Johnson.
We have a nomination for Dan Johnson. Is there a second? All right, seeing no second, the motion dies for lack of a second. At this point, I would move to close nominations. Is there any debate? Seeing none, motion to close nominations. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, nominations are closed. David Zecker, you have been nominated for second vice chair. Please come up and address the body.
Hello, I'm Dave Zecker. I'm Precinct Committeeman 1414, and unlike Ryan, I don't like you. I'm born and raised here in Idaho, and I live here in Meridian. I have 9 children, and I'm a business owner here in town. And I have been involved with the Republican Party. I remember seeing Dan Quayle speak at the Capitol steps. I don't know if anybody remembers that. So I was in high school then, so yes. And I have run for precinct committeeman for the last 10 years. I have to say this is the first time I've won. So. I was hearing somebody in the back say the only reason they won is because they're the only one on the ballot. And I can say that too. So. Thank you. Thank you for your vote.
All right, everyone, all in favor of David Zecker as the second vice chair of the Ada County Central Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Congratulations, David. All right, we will now open the floor for nominations for third vice chair. Do we have any nominations for third vice chair?
Mr. Chairman, Gary Child, 1809, and I'd like to nominate Melissa Miller Harris as the third vice chair.
Thank you. We have a nomination for Melissa Miller Harris. Do we have a second?
David DeHaas, 1712, I second the nomination.
All right, we have a nomination and a second. Do we have any other nominations for the position of third vice chair? Seeing none, we will move to closed nominations. All in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, nominations are closed. Melissa, please come up and tell us about yourself.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Good thing I've had a little public speaking because otherwise I would be panicking. My name is Melissa Miller Harris. I am a native from Idaho, raised in small logging towns, been in Boise about 10 years. I've owned my own business since 1996, very much an entrepreneur. I've traveled. I did a lot of motivational speaking. I have 3 kids, 3 grandkids. My oldest grandson's this tall. And I love Idaho. And I'm really excited to be involved and get to know everybody. I think that I have mad respect for what Ryan is doing in the reorganization and kind of shifting gears. So I'm really honored to be nominated. I'm serving currently in Precinct 1703 in District 17. I've applied for a state and Ada County delegate. I'm a huge Trump supporter. I get a little crazy. I was the county chair for one of the candidates in the Congressional District 1. And I really am excited to have a voice and get to know all of you. I'm very honored to be nominated. Thank you. And so vote for me if you feel like you should. I'll be good. I'm a fighter and a crusader for what I believe in.
All right, all in favor of Melissa Miller Harris to be elected to the position of third vice chair of the Central Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Congratulations, Melissa. All right, we are now going to open the floor for nominations for the position of County Secretary. Do we have any nominees for the position of County Secretary?
David DeHaas, 1712, I nominate Matthew Jensen for secretary.
We have a nomination for Matthew Jensen. Do we have a second?
Second, Tom Jensen, 1805.
We have a second. Do we have any other nominations for the position of County Secretary?
Graham Patterson, 1611. I wish to
nominate Megan Richley.
We have a nomination for Megan Richley. Do we have a second? Name and precinct, please. Okay, we have two nominees. Do we have a nominee, any other nominees for the position of county secretary? Seeing none, I will move to close nominations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay, so with the contested race, it is done by secret ballot. We would ask, we will do the speech, and while the speeches are going on, we will start the passing out of ballots. And then I will assign 2 ballot counters. Do we have a volunteer to pass out ballots to precinct committeemen only? Do we have 2 or 3 volunteers come up? We have ballots up here. Again, PCs only.
I'll start here on this side. Back in this
All right, well, our volunteers are passing out the ballots. We will now hear from the candidates.
Yeah. Right.
Whoever the nominator was, and then the second round.
That was the motion. That was the motion. That's right. So we will actually hear the nominating and seconding speeches. So, who was? Let's have the first nomination speech for. All right. All right, everyone. If we can have your attention back up here. David D. Haas with the nomination speech. All right, thank you, everyone.
All right, good evening, fellow Republicans. So I'm nominated Matthew Jensen. He's in our district 17. So the reason why I nominated Matthew, usually no one likes to be the secretary. But we lost ours very quickly in 17, probably because of my leadership. But Matthew quickly came and volunteered. And not only did he volunteer, but he's very ambitious. And he held me accountable and kept me on task. And I really was impressed with his tenacity and in the district when during the off term, we should say there's really not a lot per se going on, but he's always at all the 8 or county civil committee meetings. Just there as a volunteer listening in. So anybody that wants to do that and volunteer gets my vote. So please support Matthew Jensen as secretary. Thank you.
All right, do we have a seconding speech for Matthew Jensen? Tom.
Well, as you can tell, I'm related to him. Matt and I, he's actually not my next closest brother either. There's actually four brothers and 1 sister. He's actually the youngest of them, but we seem to click pretty well. We spend a lot of time with each other. We go on road trips to football games when they come, and spend a lot of time. He's a great person, and why he should be secretary is even if he doesn't like someone, he still did what he had to do. He I won't get into details, but he has a very evil ex-wife, and even I mean, I'm not like getting. I want to. I'll let him do that, but there's many things he still did, even though everyone would have said he didn't. Oh, you don't need to do that. Because he had to, because he felt the obligation to, because he has I guess, moral obligation to, he still did certain things, even if it involved her. And he could have just said, to heck with you. And as secretary, I believe he will do everything he's supposed to, even if he doesn't enjoy it or doesn't like the person or whatever. He will do things. He has a great moral compass, and he's a great person to know if you haven't noticed him before. He's the other guy in the blue and orange. I say, go for Matt Jensen.
me hear the nominating speech and the seconding speech now for Megan Ritchie. Graham Patterson.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to nominate Megan Ritchie. I want to speak to the respect and appreciation of commitment to and execution of duty. And this is Megan. I think we need to think about that, because we as a committee come together and we've had the opportunity to observe what those around us have done. She has an amazing record of accomplishment. Let me just note that she has spent the last 2 years as secretary. She's also converted all the files to digital. 2 years, 80 county roundup. She went as a Trump delegate to the RNC committee meeting. She's been a state delegate and also participated on the rules committee, governor's ball dinner coordinator, campaign assistant for Labrador, Fulcher, and Troyansky. She's manned the Western Idaho Fair booth and spent 2 years. For 2 years, she arranged the Lincoln Day VIP banquet. I think that speaks well to who Megan is and why we should support her again. She's very bravely stepped forward to do the job, and let's give her a hand and let's vote her to succeed herself. Thank you very much.
All right, we have the seconding speech. Jim Silverman.
My name is Jim Silsby. I'm at 1610. And a few years ago, when I showed up here and met Megan for the first time, it was very interesting to me how open and welcoming she was to me. And I didn't know her very well. I've got to watch her over the last couple of years and observe some of the interests that she maintains as secretary. And as a nurse, as a mom, I have a daughter that's a nurse, so I'm partial to nurses. So,
Jim, now we will hear from the candidates. Matthew Jensen.
Oh, geez, and I have to give somebody credit here real quick. It takes an exceptionally creative mind to mention Leah in this setting, but as I normally do when speaking before any GOP body, it is that I still feel lucky to be speaking to you, even under these circumstances, really. I do have some experience, and I'm honored that some people think highly of me to actually nominate me for this job. I have experience seeing through really mundane things to the end, and I believe that will make me a good fit. I have some experience, always being at meetings on time, well prepared, and I know that will make me a good fit. I already have some experience representing this body elsewhere, and I've already demonstrated to be a good fit. I have been serving as the District 17 Secretary and have overseen a rewrite of the district bylaws along with recording them at the recorder's office, just right over there, for digging them out. I have taken time over the past couple of years to devote study to our country, county, and state party rules, as well as Robert's Rules of Order, in order to be more effective and better serve this party. I hope you agree that I will be a good fit as the Ada County Republican Secretary to bring this committee into a new era of a more conservative Republican Party. Thank you, and please vote.
Megan Ritchie.
Hi, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you to Matthew, because I know it's tough in a contested race, and I know it's not the easiest thing. My background is I'm a nurse, as you've heard already. I work in administration in physical rehab, brain injury, stroke, spinal cord injury patients. But I'm also a mom. I started off as the PTA treasurer, the PTA president, the junior high PTA president, the football president for the boosters. I was the president and vice president of the Parent Community Advisory Council to the Boise School District until they shut us down because I asked them why class size doesn't matter. I've been very active on the periphery in multiple campaigns,
And I really tried to step up my game because I really just got tired of yelling at the TV. And my husband, of course, still yells, but he just supports me. He's kind of the silent type. I've had the opportunity to be the secretary here, and I'm very privileged and honored to meet a lot of wonderful people here and have a ton of experiences. I've been able, while secretary, to transform our paperwork from paperwork to a digital process. All of our papers, agendas, meetings, minutes, forms are all now in digital format and available at the touch of a button. That's why, for those of you who did get that, there was a link to a Google Drive. I really like to save the trees, but I don't want people to think I'm too liberal. Again, I just want to continue what I'm doing. I've really been excited with the opportunities that I've had here. And again, thank you for your support. I appreciate your time.
I will now ask our volunteers to collect up the ballots. And I will appoint 2 people to count the ballots, Ryan McDonald and Phil McGrain is still available. Phil, would you be willing to count the ballots? All right, and while we are collecting the ballots and while our official counters count and double count, we will now open the floor for nominations for county treasurer. Do we have a nomination for county treasurer? Vicki McIntyre.
Vicki McIntyre, 2109. I nominate Justin Collins.
We have a nomination for Justin Collins. Do we have a second?
Andrew Bruin, precinct 2203. Second.
I'm sorry, 22.
Andrew Bruin, precinct 2203.
All right, we have a nomination and a second for Justin Collins. Do we have any other nominations for county treasurer? Seeing none, I will move to close nominations. All in favor of closing nominations, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. All right, we have closed the nominations. As we have only one candidate, we will only hear from the candidate. Mr. Collins, please come up and address the body.
Thank you for the nominations, Vicki. Andrew, I appreciate that. It's an honor to be in front of you tonight. My name is Justin Collins, for those of you who don't know me. My background a little bit, I'm a native Idahoan from northern Idaho. I have a master's degree in business administration from Northwest Nazarene University. 14 years of military experience, 10 years of that was in active duty United States Air Force. Last 4 years have been at the Idaho Air National Guard as a logistics readiness officer. Over the last 6 years, I've been a finance professional. I've worked with personal investors with their investment goals. Then I moved on to Fortune 500 companies where I helped them with their investment portfolios. I had the opportunity to work with companies such as Facebook, UPS, Delta Airlines, to assist them in their investment portfolio accounting needs. Most recently, I'm the financial analyst of Ada County Treasurer's Office, where I analyze county revenues, budgetary expenses, and investment returns there. I appreciate your vote tonight. It's exciting to see so many great liberty-loving Idahoans. We have a huge responsibility in Ada County, I believe, to be that shining beacon for the state and to really drive that liberty agenda. So I look forward to your vote. I appreciate it. Look forward to serving you all with the rest of the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Justin. I will now move for the nomination of Justin Collins. All in favor of electing Justin to the position of County Treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Congratulations, Justin. All right, we will now open the floor for nominations. The first of our 3 state committee people who will represent Ada County at the State Central Committee. We start with the position of State Committee Man. Do we have any nominations for the position of State Committee Man? John Vanderwaaler.
Representative Vanderwaaler, I nominate Greg Furch for State Committee Man, precinct 2207.
We have a nomination for Greg Furch. Do we have a second?
I second. Brock Frazier, 1915, and current sitting State Committee.
We have a second for the current State Committee Man, Brock Frazier. Are there any other nominations for the position of State Committee Man?
Greg Emperor, 2112, I'd like to nominate Christopher Stroh. Christopher Stroh. Thank you.
We have a nomination for Christopher Stroh. Do we have a second?
Lee Lay, 1614, I second that nomination.
Okay, we have a second for Chris Stroh for State Committee Man. Do we have any other nominations for the position of State Committee Man? All right, seeing no additional nominations, we will move to close nominations. All in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, nominations are closed. So since this is a contested race, we will do the same procedure. We'll pass out ballots. We'll hear from everybody. And all right, we have a result for the position for County Secretary. Congratulations to you, Megan. All right, so while we have our volunteers handing out ballots for State Committee Man, we'll hear from the first nominator for Greg Furch, John Vanderwaaler.
Thank you. When Greg asked me to nominate, he says, no, you won't have to say anything. So I guess I better not say anything. But Greg has been involved in the political process probably longer than what I have. But I've always known him to be the guy who shows up and does the work. And that's better than what I've done as precinct committeeman. I know that I have a couple of different hats that I wear. But we can depend on him when the state committee meets, that he'll be there. He'll be the voice for Ada County. And with that, I would like you to vote for Greg Furch.
All right, now we can hear from the second nominator for Greg Furch, Brock Frazier.
I'm Brock Frazier, Lowell. Real happy to speak on behalf of Greg Furch. He's a fantastic Republican. He's a solid conservative. He's just a well-hearted man, and he'll do a fantastic job as state committee. Thank you.
All right, now we'll hear the nomination and seconding speech for Chris Stroh. Greg Gim.
Got to vote for myself.
Greg Emperor, 2112, and I just want to nominate Christopher Stroh. I know he's a recent refugee from the great state of Washington that's becoming less great every day. And so he does realize the value of the liberty that we enjoy here in America, or in Idaho, of course. And I know that he's an extremely strong proponent of the Second Amendment, and that's something that's just so near and dear to me, and that's something that's completely under assault in this nation right now. And so I hope you consider a vote for Christopher Stroh.
All right, now we will hear from the seconding speech. Lee Joe Lay.
think in the interest of competition, there should be 2 to vote for. That's why I'm running for District 16 Senate. And I got my primary, so. Which is once again reasonable being uncontested, and that's what I don't like is uncontested. I would have preferred somebody more qualified would have run for Senate 16. But, so, in the interest of competition, I think we should have 2 on the ballot.
Thank you, Lee. All right, we will now hear from candidates, Greg first and Chris Stroh. All right, first up, Greg first, please address the Central Committee.
Well, I'm not much for speechifying, really. I'll just tell you that my political involvement started awfully early. Back in North Dakota, when I was a senior in high school, our district sent about 5 of us high schoolers to our state convention. And I got to meet Maureen, Reagan, and people, for those of you that are old enough to remember those days. So I started awfully young, and then I stayed pretty active in college, but when I got here about 10, 12 years ago, some of the leadership in the State House, I guess, saw something and asked that I run for state legislature, which I made a valiant effort at in 2010, and fared pretty well in a primary against a lady that had been on 15 previous ballots in that district. And so at that point, I guess my consolation prize was district chairmanship. So since then, I've held a lot of different positions, and I think I've done pretty well at all of them, and I've done my level best to honor those positions and attend where I was to be attending, participate where I should be participating, and help fund where we need to be help funding. And so from that point, I was a precinct committeeman, a district chairman. I've been region vice chairman. I've been a district vice chairman. I've been Ada County first vice chairman. I've been Ada County chairman, and probably some other things that I don't even remember. So I would like to suggest that I have a pretty significant background and level of experience to honor this new position as state committeeman and represent us at the State Central Committee with a measure of thoughtfulness and diligence. And I do go to things. I do participate in the fundraisers. I've been to numerous state conventions and taken the time, especially when I can get my wife to chauffeur me to Pocatello. I'm working on that one. So I just humbly ask for your vote for this this position, the state committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. All right, now we will hear from our second candidate, Chris Stroh.
Well, as Greg well said, I'm a refugee. We came here from Washington for a better quality of life for our kids. And I've got a daughter, Abby, who's 10, and son, John, who's 7. Let me tell you something about Idaho families. That's why we moved here, and that's what I'm passionate about defending. Now, for me, see this live free or die, that's all about me. That's what I believe in, and that's why we're here in Idaho. I want to use the position of state committeeman to hold the state party's feet to the fire. I believe we can do that by working with the chairman, working with the upper elected members of the state committee team to try to make sure that our state stays conservative, promotes conservative agenda, and most importantly, protects the Second Amendment. Our freedoms are derived from the Constitution, but there's a liberal threat out there wonderfully shown to us by our Democratic nominee for governor in this state, and they will take our guns first before they take the rest of our freedoms, and we have to fight. So I will promise to you to use this job if I'm elected, and I have great respect for my opponent. I've learned all about him today. He's a great man. But if I am elected, I'm going to use this job to help build a freedom and liberty caucus that will say, live free or die. That's what I want to do. So thank you for your vote if I get it.
All right, have all the ballots been distributed? All right, let's have our volunteers start to collect the ballots. I will get.
Did you get one on the last one? How much did I lose by the way? How much did I lose by? 7.
Did you vote?
I forgot.
Vote for this.
I handed it. This is the first one, right? Yeah, I already handed it.
Completely forgot.
So did I. I'm not broken up about it. And had you let me, I would have done it by acclamation. I keep forgetting I have to. You keep forgetting to vote. What are you, a commie? Yeah.
You're like, I already won.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. I was trying to make a motion to elect you by acclamation, but somebody didn't want to do it. It's fine. It's fine.
Do you want to go in the meantime?
Sure.
I don't know how much budget we have to do that.
All right, we have all the ballots collected. Looks like we do. All right. If we can bring everyone back to order, we're now going to open the floor for nominees for the position of State Committee Woman. Do we have any nominees for the position of State Committee Woman? Cindy Reed.
I'll figure something else. We don't have to spend much money. I'll figure something.
We have a nomination for Julia Morgan. Do we have a second? We have a nomination and a second. Do we have any other nominations for the position of State Committee Woman?
Ambition 1511. I'd like to nominate Michelle Jarvis.
We have a nomination for Michelle Jarvis for State Committee Woman. Do we have a second?
Grant Patterson 1611.
All right, we have a second for Michelle Jarvis. Any other nominations for the position of State Committee Woman? Seeing none, I will move to close nominations. All in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All right, nominations are closed. Again, contested race, so we will hear from the nominators and from the candidates. And while they are coming up, our volunteers will pass out ballots. Can we restate who the nominators and seconders were? All right, everyone. Make sure you get a ballot. Precinct committee men only. All right, everyone, let's bring it back to order while the ballots are being passed out. We will hear from the nominator for State Committee Woman, Cindy Reed.
I'm honored to nominate Julia Morgan for this position. It's actually the position that I'm stepping down from. I met Julia a few years ago while we were serving at a state GOP convention. It was my first real Idaho convention because I'd gone to the 2012 one, which never actually convened. So I didn't actually get to go to that convention, even though I was there. But in the 2014, we served on the Resolutions Committee, and I was just really struck by the fact that because I was nervous, it was my first time, I had not been through that process. She was very welcoming. She was very snappy dressed, all red, white, and blue. And she just reached out and kind of mentored me through that experience, which I appreciated. She is a thinker. She's an analyzer. She was really good about staying educated on all of the issues. She knew them well even before we got to the Resolutions Committee. And she's good about following up with candidates on their voting records. She has a passionate love for conservative principles, and that's why she's involved in the GOP. and she's worked hard for lots of candidates. Just a couple of things she's done. From 92 to 2006, she worked for the American Red Cross Disaster Services, and that I think had to do with Eastern Idaho, correct? Or was it here in Boise?
I did Boise, North Idaho, and Oklahoma.
Okay, so she was all over the place. She's been an Ada County elections poll worker for 4 years. She's worked as an Ada County Republican Party precinct committee woman. She's been a delegate to the 2016 State Republican Convention and was on the resolutions committee, as I said. She's been a campaign volunteer for candidates for Idaho governor and U.S. congressman, lieutenant governor online and phone, sign waving, meet and greets. She is a worker. She is and passionate about it. She was also a presidential campaign event volunteer for Reagan, Bush, Romney, and Trump. So she's got a long list of things. She is a wife, a mom of 6 grown children, and a grandmother of 6 with number 7 on the way. You know, we grandmas are counting the ones that are still in the womb. Anyway, I would highly recommend that you vote for her. She would serve us very well and be a great representative for Ada County.
All right, we'll now hear from the seconding speech. Maureen Hatfield.
Okay, I'll make it really short. She said everything about her, all those great qualities, and I would say that she will make a good teammate to to Christopher. I don't know if he has been elected, but if you were going that way with Christopher, she's going to be the strong one with him on that. So go ahead and vote for Julie.
All right, we'll now first hear from the nominating and the seconding speech for Michelle Jarvis. And Beshan, come on up.
I've known Michelle Jarvis since 2010 when she started out as a committee person. She has been active in all areas of politics. She's campaigns during primaries, and she's always supported and worked diligently for our candidates for state office and national. She was the majority secretary in the pool for the House while she was going to college to get her degree in public health. She worked for Congressman Labrador in his office until just recently. And she is a great gal. She takes care of her mom. And I really feel that she would really make a very good state committee person.
All right, we have the seconding speech. Grant Patterson.
It is 8:30 and brevity is in order. I suggest that we vote for Michelle. She has done a great job since 2010 working as a Republican. She will do a great job moving forward. Please vote for Michelle. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll now hear from the candidates, and appreciate Graham. Yes, brevity is in order. So we never set a time limit, but let's go for 60 seconds for each candidate. So Julia, please come on up and address the Central Committee.
I'm not going to enforce that.
Yeah, really.
It's a suggestion.
That's fine.
You're good.
Hello, I have been in Idaho since I was 7 years old. We moved in California, that was in 1969. And my family saw problems in California long before, and we moved here to get away from that. And so I was raised in a very conservative Christian home. I have family members in California who have been very active in politics my whole life, and they've set a great example for me. I learned at an early age that if I had something to complain about, it did no good without being willing to offer a solution. And so that's what I've always worked for. I've had different situations come by chance and some by circumstance.
I am a U.S. Air Force widow. I was widowed at 27 and left with 2 children. I've had to learn to grow where I'm planted. I have found great satisfaction in community service. I do love Idaho. I represented Idaho when I was 18 years old as Idaho National Teenager and later competed for Miss Idaho. I love this state. I've lived in many other states, Texas, California, Oklahoma, Georgia, even spent 4 years in Canada because I fell in love with a Canadian. And I brought him back and he became a citizen in 2014. So he's an immigrant. And I just want to say that I believe it would be a great honor to represent our county on the state level, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Michelle Jarvis.
Thank you, everyone. I've really enjoyed my opportunity to work with the county. In 2010, my precinct committeeman came to my door, introduced herself, and said, "Hey, do you want to get involved?" Hasn't stopped since then. So I got to spend 4 years as a precinct committeeman alternate. This is my second term as a precinct committeeman. I've served on multiple committees, fundraisers, worked on campaigns, helped to run state campaigns. Recently worked on Congressman Labrador's campaign, and then I currently work in Congressman Labrador's office. And then I did 3 years. I was the secretary to 38 representatives in the House of Representatives, and that was quite the privilege and honor to do that. And I would love the opportunity to represent this wonderful body with the state committee, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
All right, have all the ballots been distributed? So to the people up at the front as well. All right, we'll have the volunteers collect the ballots and the counters count the ballot.
It's not going to work, but try the pencil. Not that pencil. Or still can't believe you mentioned Leah.
All right, we're down to the last position of the night, the position of State Youth Committee person. That's right, we will announce the winner of State Committee Man. Congratulations to Greg Furch. All right, Idaho Party rules state that the State Committee or State Youth Committee person must be between 18 and 40 years old. I've previously served in that position and just aged out very recently, sad to say. The State Youth Committee person, again, represents the Ada County at the State Central Committee, which meets twice a year, one time in January at the Riverside Hotel, and then in the summer at Random County around the state. That's where all the state business gets done. That's where State Committee people came up with the closed primary that came out of the SEC. Even the presidential caucus back in 2012, that came out of the SEC as well. So it's a very important body which governs statewide affairs for the party. All right, we will now open the floor for nominations for the position of State Youth Committee person. Rob McQuaid.
Mr. Chairman, Rob McQuaid, 1909. I nominate Heather Riggs
We have a nomination and a second. Ryan McDonald. All right, do we have any other nominations for the position of State Youth Committee person?
Emerson Watson, 1401. I nominate Dom Gelsomino.
All right, we have a nomination for Dom Gelsomino. Do we have a second?
John Vanderweiler, 2207.
We have a nomination and a second. I thought we'd be done by 8:30. All right.
Youth
Do we have
after
any
all.
other nominations for the position of State Youth Committee person? Seeing none, I will move to close nominations. All in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right. So now, same procedure. We will have volunteers start to pass out the ballots. Again, only to precinct committeemen.
Mr. Chair.
Is it mine? All right, now as we're getting ballots passed out, if we could bring it back to order, let's get the nominating speech and the seconding speech going for Tyler Ricks. Mr. Rob McQuaid.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. I'm Rob McQuaid, Precinct 1909, previous second vice chair of the county. Previous before that, State Youth Committee person. There's a long list of us. I could not think of anybody better to serve in this position for the next 2 years than Mr. Tyler Ricks. Tyler, I believe, is the founder of the Ada County Teenage Republicans. He's been actively involved in our party for as long as I can remember. Tyler has been there every time he needed help. Tyler answers the call. We've walked a lot of miles in parades, passed out a lot of literature for different candidates, spent some time at the fair together. Can't say enough good things about him. I think he will bring a lot of talent, hard work, drive, and vision to the state party on behalf of this county. So I urge you to cast your ballot tonight for Tyler Ricks. Thank you.
All right, can we get a seconding speech for Tyler Ricks? Who is Ryan McDonald.
So I've known Tyler for a few years now, and I can't say that there's a person that goes to more events and does more for the Republican Party as well as getting the youth out to vote and getting the youth interested. He's done countless parades. Pretty much every parade I've done, he's been there. I can't think of one that he hasn't. From the Boise 4th of July parade to Eagle to the Dairy Days to the fair, he's there. I mean, he's at the meetings. He's at election night. Pretty much Tyler is everywhere you want him to be. He's out passing out literature and the other stuff leading up to the election. He's basically the person that you want out there doing the stuff and getting the youth interested in the party and the crucial word I'm looking for, and I don't know, crucial issues. Tyler's the guy, basically. Let's just leave it at that. Tyler's the guy.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, we have a nominating speech and a seconding speech for Dom Gelsomino. Tammy Sullivan Watson.
I nominate Dom Gelsomino for the State Youth Committeeman. Dom has been involved in Ada County politics for 10 years. I've watched him grow through it from a college student to a young man. He ran for the College Republicans, and he actually ran the organization statewide during his college years. He served as a chief of staff for Russ Fulcher while he was in the Idaho Senate. He volunteered on several conservative campaigns, and Dom ran against Phyllis King, a tough person, 2014 for the Idaho House District 18. He also ran for City Council this last term in 2017. He's the most conservative candidate, is what they told everybody at that point, and was endorsed by Russ Fulcher, Gem State Patriot, and Ada County Tea Party. Again, I nominate Dom Gelsomino, and his last name is spelled Gelsomino. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. Now for the seconding speech, John Vanderwell.
I've known Don for a long time, and he, I told him I'd come up here and say a few things, and he didn't want me to say those things, so I guess there's so much to say. Yeah, I said, it's your own fault for asking me to second your nomination. I said, if you can't beat Phyllis King, who can you beat? But he's willing to take on the tough challenges. District, running against in a Democrat district, willing to put your name on the ballot, willing to go out there, knock on doors, and work, is the type of people we need to run for office and to be involved in the Republican Party. Thank you.
All right, now we're here for the candidates. We're going to start with Tyler. Perhaps the only guy who's got a better political button collection than me. So. Tyler Ricks.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Ryan and Rob, for seconding my nomination. Just a little bit about me. I first got involved in politics 8 years ago at the age of 12. I'm 20 now. And it was actually the youth committee person at that time. It was either Ty Palmer or Ryan Davidson. And introduced to me by Gordon Browning, someone that if you guys been involved in the party, would know, my neighbor. And with that effort of them, I was able to make the first teen Republican club in this area for the last decade. And I like to say that it still continues today, even though I'm no longer a teenager at the age of 20. I'm at Boise High. Also, besides that, I'm probably one of the most fairest people in the Young Republicans and just politics in general, to making sure that all sides were heard. And no matter who they were, I tried really hard to make sure that we had membership for Young Republicans from both Tommy's campaign, Brad Little's campaign, and Congressman Lauder's campaign, making sure that we all had a fair shake, no matter who wins the general primary. Under Young Republican leadership, since I've been involved in the Young Republicans since 2 years ago as the treasurer and secretary, we have increased membership by 4 times the original amount it originally was. And I just like to bring that here locally to Ada County. Thank you, and vote for Tyler Ricks.
All right, we'll now hear from Dom Gelsomino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep it brief. I mean, I am Italian, but I'll keep it brief. Exactly. I'll try to keep my hands down too. Obviously, Tyler is a really good friend of mine, so I'm glad that we're both the options for this race. But my experience speaks for itself. Ran for state legislature 4 years ago as one of the youngest candidates to run for the Idaho legislature. Ran and established the State Federation of the Idaho College Republicans. Successfully established a chapter on every college and university except for BYU Idaho. We had a very stubborn college president, but we grew the organization to have a national voice, national importance. Served for Senator Russ Fulcher, soon to be Congressman-elect Russ Fulcher, when he was in the Idaho Senate. Served as his campaign treasurer when he ran for re-election. I've served for Senator Kirk McKenzie as his chief of staff and assisted him in the campus carry bill in 2014. Ran for city council last year and for Meridian, and as the conservative candidate, was recently appointed as the government affairs advisor to the MIAC, to the Meridian Youth Advisory Council. So I'll be working with a lot of Ada County teens, high schoolers, and preparing them and preparing the next generation of leaders. So I hope that you'll vote on my experience. Many of you have known me for the last 10 years that I've lived here and have been involved in Idaho politics. I've worked for under 4 to 5 actually, different state chairs since Norm Semenko. And so I appreciate your time, yours, and hope to have your vote tonight. Thank you.
All right, we've heard from the candidates. Has everyone had a chance to vote? We will now ask the volunteers to collect the ballots.
So even if it's the end, they're like, I don't know who that was, right?
All right, everyone, and while we are collecting the ballots, I will announce the winner of State Committee Woman. Congratulations to Julia Morgan. All right, well, we are about to close out the last of the officers. We're going to get to delegates. We will hear from the nominations committee chair. While the ballots are being counted, we will move to number 8, nominations committee report. Our nominations committee chair is Matthew Jensen. Oh, serious, but okay. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. According to the state party, Ada County is entitled to send 114 delegates and 114 alternates to the Idaho Republican State Convention in June. Pursuant to our Ada County bylaws, which were amended a few short years ago to create a local delegate selection process, a 2-part application form must have been submitted to the party by last Friday. At that point, the nomination committee, which consisted of myself, the county chair, and the state committeeman, well, then the state committeeman, Brock Frazier, were to review submissions and ensure, amongst other things, that applicants were registered Republicans. As of midnight last Friday, 50 delegate applications had been received. Because that was substantially less than our allotment, the party continued to solicit delegate application forms. As of noon today, an additional 21 applications have been received. If you refer to one of the pages there in the document, I think it's the last one, you will see the full list of individuals who have applied to be delegates. Those after the black line, it was like number 50 or so, after the black lines were filled after midnight on Friday, all have been reviewed by the nominations committee. So that was actually kind of a pain. All applicants were found to be qualified and registered Republicans of Ada County, except for one, Hayden Rogers, who was not affiliated with the party, and as such, his name does not appear on the list. This list does not include anyone who has emailed a delegate application form to the party after noon today, or anyone who has filled out an application here at this meeting. That concludes the nominations committee report. All right, well, hopefully this will go a lot smoother than previous years when we have more people who want to go to the convention than we have slots. So again, Ada County, 114 delegates and 114 alternates. Also keep in mind that each legislative district will elect 3 delegates and 3 alternates. We have 9 legislative districts. That's an additional 27 delegates and 27 alternates. So again, we are looking to fill as many of these as possible so that Ada County and the districts are represented. So that being said, you've gotten the form that shows the everyone who has submitted an application so far. As you can see, we're up to 71. We still have to get to 114. Then we can do 114 alternate slots. So what I'm going to propose, I'm going to make a motion that through unanimous consent, we accept the timely filed declarations as well as the late filed declarations, and that the period to consider delegate applications be open as long as essentially the party will allow. I think there's a certain deadline that the party wants to get reports of all of our delegates. There is even a bit of a workaround on that. If submissions are filed even after that deadline, someone can go to the credentials committee and make an application that late applications be submitted. So you have the names, and again, in your delegate packet, there is the two forms that you need to fill out in order to be considered. One is provided by the state, it's the delegate pledge form. The other is required by our county bylaw. And so if you are interested in still being considered a delegate at this time, if you fill out that paperwork and bring it up here, we will, if this motion passes, they will be referred to the nominations committee for further processing to be included at a later date. Obviously, right now, we can't verify that everyone is a registered Republican who brings it up because we don't have the time to do that.
Mr. Chairman, question. Was that an announcement that you're making a motion, or was that the motion?
That was an announcement that we're making a motion. Okay. So again, the convention it's not free. It costs, I believe, $100 to become a delegate or an alternate. It is free to go as a guest, is my understanding. Is there any questions about convention, the list of delegates, anything at all? The convention is June 28th to 30th in Pocatello. It's a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, although Thursday is largely ceremonial. The committees meet on Friday and the full body meets on Saturday. So even if you can only go on Saturday, it still might be worth it if this is your thing. Any other questions? Steve?
Does the $100 registration include any meals or are there separate tickets?
I don't know. The state party is constantly updating agendas, and you'd have to check the state party website, IDGOP.
In previous years, it included the one dinner that the party itself hosted.
And also in previous years, counties who did not pay their quota had to pay a higher delegate price. I don't know if they're doing that. If they do, then we're all paying more because Ada County has not met its quota for about 100 years or so. Okay. Might be out here by 9. All right, so any other questions on the delegate process, the convention? I don't think we have anyone from the state party to answer any specific questions over here.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, do you have a general idea what that deadline might be? Saturday.
So Saturday if you're interested, Saturday would be a very good deadline because the state party wants every delegate that we've appointed. Now, after Saturday, if we still have vacancies, I'm going to make the motion that we entertain those. However, it will take somebody, and hopefully we will appoint a Ada County delegation chairman to go to the credentials committee at the convention and make application that these late filed applications be seated. And if we have not filled out our entire roster, I have a very good feeling that would go through. It's a bit of a gamble. You still have to go to the convention and see if you're going to get credentialed, but I have a good feeling it will. Any other questions? All right, so.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Parliamentary.
What?
Parliamentary.
There is one name missing from the list, and that was a Marshall Torrey Anthony. Somehow that got dropped from the list.
Okay. There's a duplicate.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Well, before I make my main motion, I will make a motion right now. And I spoke to Ms. Toriansky, who informed me that he submitted an application timely for himself. Well, actually, just after midnight for himself. And
yeah, it looks like a few minutes
son
after.
Mitchell. It's possible it got lost in the shuffle. Is Mitch here?
Mitch is on there. Marshall
so his
is not.
Son Marshall Toriansky apparently did not get included, so we will
I remember.
Taking on good effect that was submitted timely. So I would move that in the position of the 52nd delegate that we would include Marshall Toriansky.
Second. Patrick Malloy, 2003.
Is there any debate? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right, motion passes. Marshall Toriansky is added as 52nd delegate. Okay, so my main motion would be, and I would request unanimous consent, that we accept all the timely filed delegates. We accept the late filed delegates going up to number 71. That the period that Ada County is soliciting delegation applications remain open as long as possible, and that the chairman, having received forms from the nomination committee, fill the rest of the delegate and alternate slots, which would also include, if we get alternates, ranking the precedence of alternates. Alternates need to be ranked 1 through 114.
Second.
We have a second.
Patrick Malloy, 2003.
And again, anyone wishing to be considered under this motion would still have to fill out the state delegate pledge form and the Ada County form and be verified from the nominating committee that they are a registered Republican of Ada County. The individual who was disqualified could still correct his application to be registered in a timely fashion. Okay.
So all pledge forms will be accepted.
So the motion is that we accept all the timely filed delegates, 1 through 50. We accept the late filed delegates, 51 through now 72, the addition of Marshall. That we hold open that we continue to solicit delegate applications continuously up until the convention, and that the forms shall be submitted to the nominations committee, and that the chairman shall fill all remaining delegate seats and alternate seats. And we will, again, well, I will leave that there. So again, just to clarify, the cutoff date is Saturday to be definitely included for consideration of the delegate. After that, we will still accept forms, but it will require an application to the credentials committee. It's my best understanding of the rules. All right.
Chairman, clarification.
Yes.
Districts will be voting for 3 members. If some of those members don't get on your list, how will the districts know whether they can get onto that list? In other words, if you reach the 114 and they have an opportunity to go in through their district meetings, how will they know whether Ada County has been accepted them as Ada County is filled up? They're 114.
We've emailed everybody, haven't we?
Right. So again, even if you apply to be a delegate through Ada County, that does not prohibit you from applying to be a delegate through your legislative district. Now, you cannot serve as a delegate in 2 spots. And so if somebody's name is on the Ada County list and subsequently becomes a district delegate, we hope that you will report that to us. However, we will be caucusing with all the district chairs and comparing the delegate information. We did this effectively 2 years ago, and there were a couple people who were on both lists. I guess the delegate themselves can decide which list they want to be on. So some people may prefer to go through Ada County, some people may prefer to go through their legislative district. All right, any other discussion on the motion? Accepting all the delegates listed, and the chair shall fill the remaining delegate spots. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Nay. Motion carries. Well, it was not unanimous, but the motion carries.
I don't think he did. It was not a unanimous motion. Yep, covered under this.
Okay, so again, if you have delegate paperwork that you're filling out for the first time today, please bring it up to the front desk here, and the nominating committee will be processing that over the next couple of days.
You did the 801 too, right?
Legislative district chairs to see who delegates are from the districts. So, okay, we are done with nominating committee report and the delegates. Almost 9 o'clock. We can announce the winner of State Youth Committee Man, which is Tyler Ricks. Congratulations. Okay, so we move on to unfinished business, and we will try to get through this very quickly. Generally at the reorg meetings, we don't discuss alternates, but that has always been kind of a pet peeve of mine because usually the June meeting, it's summer, it's the last one of the cycle, you don't get quorum, and then everyone goes to the convention, and so vacant precincts and alternates generally aren't even considered until September. So I would move now that we do an expedited process to nominate alternates. Now, all precinct committeemen can nominate an alternate for their precinct, which can serve when that precinct committeeman is not there. This person must live in the precinct and be a registered Republican. And so right now, I would open the floor for individual nominations for alternate. We would have you stand up, state your precinct, state the alternate's name, and then we will vote on them as a group, and subsequently all your alternates need to fill out contact paperwork so that we have them in the system. Don't have to do that tonight because we're running low on time. All right, open the floor for alternates.
So Bill Schuler, 2101. I'd like to nominate Regina Bear for my alternate in 2101. She had to leave early tonight for illness, but Regina has been part of the Republican Party for quite some time. I had nominated her at the last meeting, but with the reorg, I'd like to re-nominate.
All right, and we can, for time consideration, we can just dispense with the speeches. We can go right to the name. If you've had a previous alternate, my position is that under the rules, after the election, everything starts from zero, and then every alternate should be reappointed if you want to reappoint the same alternate. All right, let's go quick. Let's try to get all these out of the way. Let's kind of go front to back. So, Tammy, I think you're next. Next. Vaughn.
Carter, I nominate Stacy Avenger for my alternate.
Can you spell last name, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you spell last name, give me your district, please?
Yes. Bonnie Carter, 2103.
And the last name of your alternate?
ATTINGER.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Mark.
Mark Watson, 2006. I'd like to nominate Daniel Malloy as my alternate.
Thank you, Mark. Next. Patty. Okay. Any others? Dawn.
Morgan, 1513, Jason Robinson. This is my previous alternate.
Next. Lee.
1614, Brianna Finch.
Any others? In the back.
You're gonna give me the J or G? Sorry, you're gonna give me the J or G? J, thank you.
All right. Do we have any others?
Sorry, last name? Tara Furman.
Does he know you're doing this? That's our state executive director. On this side here.
Kathleen Hale, 1904. Nominate Brian Howell. HOWELL.
Fine with a Y or an I.
All right. Any other nominations for alternates? myself, Ryan Davidson, 1608. I'm going to nominate Dennis Mansfield. All right, any other alternates? Okay, so hopefully this, okay, one more.
So I'm gonna nominate my wife, Mary Sprout.
Oh, you're in the doghouse.
It's 2117.
Any others? Any others? In the back.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the name. 1403 for who? Natalie Pearson, 1403, nominating Rob Pearson. Spell the last name for me, please. F-E-U-E-R-S-T-E-I-N. Thank you very much.
All right, any others? Any others? Okay, I will close nominations for alternate precinct committeemen, and I will move to a vote. All in favor of appointing these named individuals as alternates, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. We have 8 vacant precincts. I think that might be a record. We actually increased precincts thanks to the county commissioners and Chris Rich. We're now up to 150 precincts. That's a lot. And so we have filled, I believe,
I think we have 6 open.
I think it's 8. Well, we did very well. And our normal process is that the precinct committeeman is introduced in one meeting, nominated at the next meeting. Again, our next meeting in June. June meetings sometimes suffer for lack of a quorum, and then you gotta wait till September. So I will make a motion to suspend our rules if there happen to be any people here to fill vacant precincts. In the off chance, I would ask for them to be nominated now.
They have to be here, the person being nominated has to be here.
That is generally how we do it. Yes.
Although if we're suspending the rules to do it, it may be that we're suspending that requirement.
Do we really want to do that?
Is there any person here who wishes to be nominated? Who is here to fill the vacant precinct? Okay. Seeing none, we will take it up at the June meeting. If we have a quorum, and they will be introduced at the June meeting, voted on at the September meeting, unless we have a suspension of the rules.
Can we say them out loud?
Yes, why don't we announce the remaining precincts that no one ran for at the last election?
Okay, according to the state election, we are missing a PC for 1601, 1702, 1808, 1811, 1818, and 1910.
All right, needle in the haystack. All right, so we will move on to new business. Vicki McIntyre.
Mr. Chairman, Vicki McIntyre, 2109, the rules state, bylaws state that you need an audit committee with the change of a treasurer, sir. I would hope that you would appoint one.
Yes, so there are actually several committees that are specified under our bylaws, and we will be sending out more information of those. Audit is a very important committee, which you served in a previous capacity, which was very sorely needed. So we will also have a resolutions committee to consider resolutions and a couple other committees. And the chairman has the ability to appoint committees. So we will be sending out info looking for people willing to volunteer. I would love to see a system where every precinct committeeman gets one committee assignment. Sort of like when you're in Congress, you get elected to Congress, you get at least a committee assignment. Every congressman is on a committee. I think that would help us get a lot of things done. Do we have any other new business?
Mr. Chair, can you put out a last call for the forms?
Okay, so last call for delegate submission forms. Please bring them up to the parliamentarian. If you're a PC who came in late, we have your certificate of nomination here for you. Please come up and get it. Now, if you've been elected a delegate, don't leave, because we will close the reorg meeting and we will move to a delegate meeting, which hopefully will be very short. But the delegates have the ability to vote for a delegation chairman. And this is the person responsible for making sure all the paperwork is submitted, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. He is the one that will be with Ada County on the floor of the convention. He's the one who makes sure that when a delegate leaves, an alternate is placed in. And so that is a vote for the delegates to do. And so if there is no other business, we will close the Central Committee meeting and we will open a delegate meeting. Greg Furch.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second, I second.
Okay.
Who's the second?
Who is the second? All right, we move to adjourn this meeting and immediately open the delegate meeting, which should be very short. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, a reorg is closed. And now, if you're not a delegate, feel free to leave quietly as we discuss the next phase.
We are both technically delegates right now.
You can stay if you want. Why don't we get the delegates to move forward to the first couple of
The only bit of business is to elect a delegation chairman.
Okay. Do we know anyone that's running for that?
Ryan, I think. Hey.
For those of us who submitted late, somehow the deadline just went.
Yeah, that same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How soon do you think we'll hear whether we've been accepted?
As soon as I process all of these forms in the morning.
Oh, okay.
And that will also include anybody that emailed us after noon today.
Okay. So I should be getting an email tomorrow, one way or the other. Or?
Absolutely. If you don't hear from us, it's racist. We do want to hear if we're not getting to people.
Okay.
Because Ada County sorely needs representation.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe with our population that we can't come up with a number of people to drive over to Pocatello. I mean, come on.
Well, I think a big part of it really was not only past things past drama, but also we had a really active primary season.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need to call this meeting to order now.
So I've received emails from the state party. The state party is very interested in making sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Mr. Chair, can you please wrap the gathering?
All right, everyone. Bring it back to order. All right, so does anyone have any questions about the convention, the delegate process, et cetera, et cetera? Okay. Yeah, if you're not here for the delegate meeting, if you wouldn't mind moving out into the foyer.
Oh, you really are Canadian, aren't you?
All right, people in the back, if you're not delegates, please take the conversations outside or to the bar on 5th and Main, which I'm sure I'll be there shortly. All right, well, for those of you who've never been to a convention, this is a good part of the political process where you find out just how many rules and state bylaws, national bylaws, county bylaws affect the process. It gets pretty convoluted sometimes. So at this point, we are going to elect a delegation chairman, and I would love to recommend somebody who has been through this process more times than probably everyone here put together, somebody who not only understands the rules, but probably wrote about half of them. He wrote a lot of the presidential caucus rules and a lot of our state party rules governing this process. So I would like to hear from Mr. Rod Beck, and with your unanimous consent, request that he be Ada County delegation chair. That is a motion. All in favor?
Seconded, Matthew Jensen, 1708.
Second, Matthew Jensen. All in favor of Rod Beck serving as the delegation chairman from Ada County, please say aye.
Aye.
Rod, thank you for stepping forward. Would you like to address the body and share some words of wisdom?
I think we let it off at all, quite frankly. We don't care anybody.
All right, well, I'm glad that we have somebody to shepherd Ada County through this process. And now every legislative district will also pick a delegation chair, but that's one person who leads a delegation of 3. Hopefully, Ada County will have her delegation of 114 and 114 alternates. So, do we have any other questions, comments? Rod?
The Ada County delegation is entitled 1/3 of its delegation members to be on convention committee. And we don't know so far if you want to be on a committee or which committee you want to be on. Now, the state chairman can balance it out if they need to. Like if everybody says they want to be on a platform committee, the state chairman can balance it out after we send it in. But there's 4 major committees. There's platform, resolution, rules, and credentials. So let somebody know what committee you want.
So what we will do and we're kind of in a weird spot because it is 1/3 of the total delegates we elected, not 1/3 of 114 that we haven't yet filled. And so as we get more applications in, our committee assignments will increase. So what we will do, and I believe we have everyone's email address, we will send out notification requesting that you select your preference of committee. Again, there's the 4 major committees. In the presidential year, there's the nominating committee, but that's not at this time. That's for national delegates. So research what these committees are. One deals with resolutions, one deals with rules, and those are just rules of the convention. One deals with the platform, which is the guiding document of the party, and one deals with credentials challenges, which is probably where we will be going with all of our late forms. So, and please rank your preferences. You can rank from 1st through 4th what your preferences are, and the delegation will do their best to offer your 1st or 2nd choice. Ultimately, falls to the state chairman to apportion out the committees. And again, if you cannot attend the convention on Friday, don't ask to be on a committee because as far as I know, all the committees are meeting on Friday to report to the full body on Saturday. So I think that just about covers it. Mr. Beck.
The Rules Committee can also make recommendations on state court, only recommendations.
All right, and we are going to look at, and everyone should look at maybe carpooling, looking for low-cost hotels, share advice with everyone if you find any great deals, because I'm sure the hotels are going to go pretty quick. But if anyone's got any, relatives with a mansion out there, feel free to let us know.
Dorms.
There are the dorms at the ISU that are potentially available for a low cost if you want to sleep in a dorm, which I did before. And kind of smelled like a sweat sock, but it was very affordable. So, all right. Any other questions, comments? At this point, I would move to end the delegate meeting.
Mr. Chair, I motion to adjourn.
All right. We have a motion to second to end the delegate meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned.
No.